welcome back to Let's Play Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door. Last time we finished up all of the Easter eggs above Grand Rogueport, so let's actually do this Pit of 100 Trials. Now, to be fair, I actually equipped a special badge. That doesn't actually work here. Good to know. There's a badge called First Strike that you can actually buy in the item shop, and I was actually very curious to see if using it would allow you to skip battles. Apparently it does not let you skip battles, so that is a little bit of a predicament. So basically the formatting for this is we will basically be just trying to do as much as we can. I mean, we don't really have specifics in terms of like, oh, let's get to floor 50 in one episode because that's reasonable. We're just gonna keep going until we like at stopping place basically. And also just depending on what floor we end up on. So I'm hoping to go in increments of 5s or 10s, but we may not always be that lucky. I forgot to equip multi-bounce, which would actually really help right now. So actually let's just use Coops. I have a really weird badge set up right now. As you may notice, I'm doing a ton of damage with Mario. On my previous run, to do the graffiti side quest, I actually discovered an interesting stratagem. Also, now that I know the first attack badge doesn't work, I might as well unequip it and just equip multi-bounce. So, this is what a badge is looking like now. 2 power pluses, 2 pretty luckies, 1 for partner. Heart Finder, Flower Finder, all these 3 are really good for any situation. First attack, I'm gonna switch out with multi-bounce, because if you can basically multi-bounce when you have 5 damage per bounce, that's pretty bad. That's pretty broken, to be honest. Chill Out would also not be a bad alternative because that would allow you to not get first struck by anything, and frankly that would speed things up quite a bit. So basically, my problem with Pit of 100 Trials is basically going through the motions. It's like, fight after fight after fight after fight, and that's all it is. So it gets tedious after a while. So, I'm not sure how much I can really commentate of this because, well, it's just the same thing over and over again. If you can get that Super Hammer off, or Ultra Hammer technically, that speeds up the fight considerably, so that's why I went for it. So go for the Goomba with Mario, and go for the Dry Bones with, or the Dull Bones with Coops because of damage outputs. I'll be trying to optimize this as much as possible because, to be honest, it takes, on average, about 2 hours, counting Bone Tail. And also, it's kind of cool that we got to talk to Grifty about Bone Tail because now we can actually say Bone Tail, and it's technically not a spoiler. Basically, if you have Zap Tap, these guys in particular are kind of a joke. Fuzzies basically can't hurt you at all because they have to actually latch onto your head and drain health. So that means if they can't even get that off, then you're basically untouchable. There are also Power Plus P badges, which actually wouldn't be a bad idea considering how high like Koops' damage output is. And on like a partner like Yoshi, that would do like 12 damage potentially. So that's not a bad idea. This is a mover. We don't actually find anything in this floor, but it basically allows us to skip floors. We are currently on floor 6, so that would skip us to floor 11. To be fair, we've actually seen every enemy that occurs between floors 1 and 10, so we might as well just skip ahead to floors 11 and 19, because Galoombas, Spinias, Spanias, and Dull Bones are basically the only enemy patterns you can actually encounter at that point. In this floor, yeah, each floor has slightly different spawn patterns, so keep that in mind. Basically on floors, so we're now between 11 and 19, so that sucks, that guy being a tryhard, basically. Do this, and voila. I equipped the Flower Finder and Heart Finder badges because to me it's more efficient because of how many fights you're in than using like FP Saver, just recovering FP constantly. See, we've almost made up for that Power Shell just with the Flower Finder badge, so to me that's the best strategy. On floors 11 through 19, the possible enemy encounters are Paraglumbas, which we just saw, Pokies, Clefts, which we're fighting right now, Dark Puffs, and Piters. So roughly Chapter 2 enemies. Which is kind of a pattern that you'll notice that we kind of go by chapters for a little while. Until like the last like 30 floors, I think, where we get into like original enemies. Let's see. Wow, we're going really fast through this because of the mover. Spike pouch, I'll pick it up, but I'm probably not going to use it. If we get something better, I'll just toss it. Because spike pouches, I don't even know what they do, to be honest. Also, movers are RNG, so your mileage may vary when it comes to length of the pit, because if you get a lot of movers, Pit of 100 Trials takes literally like no time at all, but if you get no movers, then it takes forever to get through. So I've had runs where I've actually gotten a ton of movers, and I've literally gone from a floor with a mover to another floor with a mover, and just skipped ahead like massively. And I've also had runs where I've seen like no movers, and I've actually had to go through the pit the legit way, which takes a very long time. Dark Puffs are another enemy that I mentioned. This one has a Thunderbolt, which sucks for him. He has no chance at actually using. So I have no clue how long this is actually going to take at this rate, because we were flying through these enemies, but I'm also aware of the fact that it slows down considerably once you get to like, I want to say the last, 70 to 80 floors. Because like floors 1 through 70, again, roughly correspond to like chapters 1 through 8, I would say. And that's actually as far as I've ever gotten, to be fair. I used the spin jump not to do damage because we would one-shot this thing by default. I used the spin jump to basically manipulate my jump height. To me, that's the easiest way to actually get a first strike on a fighter, is to do a spin jump, because it halts your mid-air movement, basically. Just a little weird thing I do. Leveling up really isn't gonna happen here because of how pitiful EXP gains are. I do take that back a little bit from what I'm reading right now. It does seem like a few original enemies start popping up as early as floors. This is like floor 60. Let's see, we are going to warp again, because again, we have seen all of the enemies we could possibly encounter between floors 11 and 19. Paraglumba, Cleft, Pokey, Dark Puff, Piter. So, yet another original enemy that isn't seen in the story, the Spiky Goomba. And actually, we're getting a whole cluster of familiar faces here, because we also have Bandit and the Bob-Omb. All of these guys are normal on these floors, so we will be seeing a lot of them. The possible enemies that you can actually encounter other than these three are the Lakitu, Spiny, which they come with the Lakitu, and Booze, potentially. So this is a little bit trickier, I'd say. Not like the end of the world or anything, but it's starting to heat up a little bit. If I can keep getting movers, we could actually get through like floor 40 in this video, because we're like really far along, by the way. We're already like floor 20 something. I don't remember the specific number, but we're past floor 20. I'm going to sneeze. Sneeze, taking. Actually, it was more of a cough, to be fair. I also was experimenting, if you're wondering, if for some reason you saw my Twitch page when this was going on. I was actually doing basically latency testing for my internet. I was actually sort of trying out Twitch just to see if I could get it to work. Problem is, my internet's not actually good enough to stream on Twitch, at least with OBS. I was trying different OBS settings, and I couldn't figure out a way to keep the connection stable enough. Unless I streamed at 2 AM, which that's not happening. So I was almost thinking about doing a live stream and then cutting it up and then uploading it. But instead, we are actually just gonna do it this way. I do plan to live stream eventually, I just have no clue when because of internet. Preferably a time when no one else is online, but that's the problem because if you stream at 2 AM, no one watches. Okay, Goombas for days. Pardon me, spiky Goombas, not regular Goombas. Those are floor 1 through 10. Technically 1 through 9 because nothing can actually spawn on floor 10. Also, as we get further along, we won't be so frivolous with our warps because we don't want to miss out on items that you can actually get through specific floors. Because we've gotten all the items between floors 1 through 50, we don't have to worry about that for now. But starting with floor 60, we want to make sure that we don't accidentally skip it with a mover. And that's when things get a little bit dicey, I would say. Basically when you have to actually try to aim for a certain floor. Like for the Troubles, 18 and 50, I actually had to basically skip over movers because if I used the mover, I would actually overshoot the floor. So I actually only went down 2 floors instead of 5 floors because I would literally skip floor 18 and floor 50. I think I might have landed on floor 50, but I didn't want to risk it. So lots of enemies here. But again, a simple multi-bounce and a power shell will easily waste them. Also, if you're wondering why my HP was low at the start of the video, I did get hit by a Koopa Troll on the way down. Because I had Heart Finder and Flower Finder, I wasn't really worried about it. I actually ran from the battle, that's why my coin count was actually down. But yeah, basically, these 2 badges alone will basically help you conserve items. And item conservation is incredibly important. If you don't conserve items, you might actually be in deep trouble later on because the enemies don't mess around towards the end. So you want to make sure you're at a high level of strength at all times. Item Finder I'm not equipping because my inventory is already pretty full as is, so I don't want to overload. Also, of course, these badges will be unequipped as we get to the final boss of the dungeon, Bonetail, whom I keep mentioning even though we're not supposed to actually know about him yet. Yeah, the whole point about Grifty is he's supposed to be sort of shady, like, oh, is he actually telling me the truth? I don't know. It's supposed to be sort of mysterious, like, these could just be legends, or this could actually be what happened to Oakport. It's supposed to be a little bit ambiguous. Which I think is actually kind of a nice touch. You know, ambiguity never hurts in storytelling. Unless you're so ambiguous that's like a plot hole, that's bad. When you just leave it open to the viewer's interpretation or the player's interpretation, I'm totally down for that. I think that's actually really cool. Again, it's just when you go overboard with ambiguity that it gets a little bit grating. Stuff like, oh, what would be a good example of that, actually? I guess to some extent, like, also there's the other problem of games and movies and TV shows over-explaining things. Like, I feel certain Final Fantasies do that at times, where it's a little bit, like, condescending to the player, like, oh, hi, by the way, this big plot element, let's just sit down and explain it to you for a really long time. So yeah, I feel like over-explaining is just as bad as under-explaining, if done wrong. Okay, these guys are actually hard to first strike because they're actually a little bit faster. Shady Koopas, if I'm not— no, Shady Koopas are the Shell Shockers. These guys are dead. That's a Dark Koopa. Dark Koopas are kind of annoying, to be honest. But they're actually easier to take out than the Shady Koopas, because Shady Koopas you can't actually flip over without risking getting hurt by an attack. Only Koops fell asleep, And that's good. That's the best possible outcome in this scenario, because if at least one of them survived, then we would be in good shape. And you can actually see that even with the flower finder, we are actually kind of running out of FP steadily. I'll be looking for ways to conserve FP coming up here with this enemy in the cleft. I'm not sure how successful we'll be. Pardon me, we'll actually be very successful with that. Yeah, we can actually hurt Buzzy Beetles with the Power Plus, so that's one really good thing about that badge. Koops really wasn't a good choice. I think Bobbly would have been a better choice for that, but we'll manage. Again, as you get further along, you will want to find ways to conserve FP, just basically be on the safe side. So yeah, keep that in mind. But yeah, we've only gained 21 star points after all these fights. So yeah, this isn't even a good leveling spot even. I wish, like, okay, a lot of people want an HD remake of this game. I'm not really on board with that because I'd prefer just a re-release, to be honest. I mean, the game still looks good. You could probably just, like, I don't know, spiff it up a little bit without having to do a full HD treatment for it. At least that's my opinion. Wow, we cannot do much against these guys. Actually, let's do this move that, oh wait, I forgot I didn't have quick change equipped. Make sure to have all your badges equipped, like quick change, once you get the Bone Tail, because it's kind of necessary. Let's try this move actually, Gale Force. It's just basically hold the button down and kind of release gradually as the button icon shows, and you can basically, hypothetically, blow away all the enemies. Problem is, it really doesn't work very much. So I haven't actually shown this move literally the entire LP because it just doesn't work. It just really doesn't work for me. Ultra Hammer, problem solved. So we'll also have to remember, because we don't actually have quick change equipped, to switch out Flurry, because again, as we have seen, Flurry really isn't that helpful. Again, I think that was literally the first time we've actually tried to use Flurry in a battle, and it was a failure. So yeah, Flurry, Miss Mouse, they really don't come in handy very often. Oddly enough, we actually got to see a Shady Koopa here as well. Again, luckily for us, we do so much damage at this point that they don't even get a chance to do their, like, special move if they get flipped over. So that's the optimal outcome. And that's actually an interesting point to make, that a lot of the pit enemies are late game. So that's actually very interesting to note. It's kind of nice actually having late game enemies in the pit, because it gives you something to look forward to eventually. Ow. Okay, this will finish him off. Didn't even need to get the action command in that one. Also, make sure to keep an eye on the upper right corner with the slots at all times. You might want to intentionally flub an action command if there are 2 poison mushrooms. If you get the action command, that means you have to do the slot game, and that would cut your health in half, and in the pit, that's really bad. We're gonna, like, huddle in the corner here, and end off the we can fight this guy. These guys are very quick to take out. No rush. Dun 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 dun. And I almost did the wrong move there, and done. Plenty of time to spare. So, with that, I think we are good to end off for now. So, thank you for watching, and I hope you join me next time for more Paper Mario: The 1000-Year Door.